So, The Jilting of Granny Weatherall is this wonderful story that we're presented with this character of Granny Weatherall, and she is very sick, and she's essentially on her deathbed. But you notice that the title of the story is not the death of Granny Weatherall, but the jilting of Granny Weatherall. And I say that because this story comprises a lot of Granny examining all of these moments of her life, these memories, and how they are this kind of double edged sword as we move back and forth between two narrative threads. And the two narrative threads that we're going to be moving through are the present and the past. So basically, we have the present reality of Granny on her deathbed when she's surrounded by her daughter and her priest, and this kind of constant action. And we move from this kind of present moment into her remembered past. Um, she's remembering her accomplishments and these kind of setbacks, and how she's really examining the last kind of 80 years of her life. And to help kind of clarify, because I know that it's going to be a little bit confusing because of the stream of consciousness, I want you guys to keep in mind that the movements of the plot are non-sequential. Okay, she goes back and forth from all of these various moments of her life and how they're linked to her present. For example, we see she remembers when she was jilted at the age of 20, and how that jilting largely impacts the entire trajectory of her life. She talks about the birth of Hapsy, and Hapsy is a child that she gives birth to kind of late in life at the age of 40, and Hapsy dies. So we're looking at the birth and death of Hapsy and how that impacts her. Her farewell tour, which you'll find out about when she's at the age of 60. She goes and travels to visit all of her children to kind of say goodbye, because she thinks she's dying, but she ends up living another 20 years to the present, where she's 80 years old, and she feels like she's being jilted all over again, not necessarily by a man, but by God. So you'll see what I mean when we talk about this, when we talk about it and as you read the story. So keep in mind that um, the narrative thread, it might be a little bit confusing, but hopefully keeping in mind the technique of stream of consciousness and these various moments of her life as she reaches kind of the climactic epiphany moment at the end of her life. And we'll talk about these when we come together. So keep all of this in mind, and I am excited to see what you guys think of the jilting of Granny Weatherall. Another thing that you guys should keep in mind as we read through this story are some of the things like symbolism and illusion. Um, the names, particularly of Granny Weatherall, are important, and they say a lot about her character. So that's it for me for now for this story. And I will come back and we will talk about our second story of the week by Shirley Jackson, The Lottery.